I recently made a video about Donald Trump in which I explained that the transiting Neptune, as it makes its way to a peak around the summer solstice, is a really dangerous transit, putting his health in peril, as well as his finances, taxes, matters of debt. Really, this house is connected to all kinds of things that can easily turn malevolent. So this is very tricky. It's curious to see that when we look at chart-to-chart connections, it turns out that Mitt Romney, and I've done a video on him as well recently. You can see the links to these videos below this one if you want to check them out. It turns out that Romney has his son right in these degrees. And what this tells you is that in their relationship, Romney becomes a major problem for Trump. Now, of course, the question is, who benefits, who is hurt? My sense is that in the long term especially, but even in the pretty much near term as well, Romney is likely to emerge victorious in this battle. Because if we look at their chart to chart, we see here we have Trump's planets on the outside of Romney's, meaning how they affect Romney. And then we can also look at it the other way, where we put Trump's planets on the inside and then Romney's on the outside. And my sense in looking at these charts is that, if anything, Trump becomes an enhancement for Romney because his planets are in houses that highlight Romney's energy and therefore help him. Whereas the reverse is not true. Romney is in places in Trump's chart that are highly problematic, especially this area here. In fact, the very house that I'm talking about in the first graphic that I showed, which is this one. So, bottom line, I believe not only that Trump is going to have a really hard time with this in the late spring, summer, solstice and into the summer, but it'll also likely reveal that Romney will have benefited from convicting Trump when he did, even though Trump made speeches to the contrary. And we may not have to wait too long. Perhaps some of you have already seen an article in today's New York Times Magazine in which they were discussing, analyzing Trump's connections to German banks, Deutsche Bank, and basically the article is pretty negative. It puts him in a bad light. This, of course, isn't something new with Trump. We've seen a lot of this action over the last 3 years, and even before that. The only question is, does it ever reach a point where it takes hold and becomes a real problem for him? I would say that this year, 2020, is pretty much precisely when it will, because of the location of this transiting Neptune. You have to keep in mind that a planet like this is a really, really heavy influence. It starts here at his birth, and it has taken all this time to reach there. So these are not frequent transits at all. It's once in a lifetime if it happens. And it turns out it's the one once in a lifetime thing you don't want to see happen, because it's going to square his sun and square his moon. And this is, of course, highly problematic. Finally, though, I'll say what he always likes to say. We'll see what happens.